Hello, fellow translators. Look at this new getup that I have. So, I've been told that my videos can be a bit boring because you're just staring at me the whole time talking to you. So, I was told that I should use a lot more animation and try to make my videos more fun. Problem is, I'm very bad at animation and I kind of really don't feel like learning it or spending a lot of time doing it. So, what you will get is my awesome PowerPoint skills. And so now you get to see my PowerPoint. And because I know how to do PowerPoint and I'm pretty good at it. So this video is going to talk about how to get started in freelance translation. This is the 2025 edition with all the changes that have been going on and everything like that. If you're starting out, if you're kind of learning the ropes, or I think for a lot of people, you're kind of starting over almost, or trying to figure out what's going on and figure out how to, land clients now, because it just seems like a whole new world. Hopefully this video will help you out. And so let's get into it. So the first steps you should do, this is before you start contacting clients or everything, you need certain things in place. And the first thing is, obviously, you need to know your language combination. If you're just starting out, you need to know which languages you're doing. You might think this is very obvious. However, keep certain things in mind. You need to translate into your native tongue. Into your native tongue. That's it. There are a couple exceptions out there, which I won't get into now, but in general, it's into your native tongue. I've been asked before by people who say they have two native tongues. There will always be one that's slightly better than the other one, the one you feel more comfortable with, especially in writing. That's the language you translate into. You're translating into your native tongue. There we go. And so there can be a couple source languages, but usually there's only one target language, which is your native tongue again. Okay, I've repeated it enough times. Hopefully it stuck. The second thing is to know your specialization. So I've talked in other videos about how you need to niche as much as possible, and that should be your goal, to niche. However, when you're first starting out, it's going to be a lot broader before you actually find the target and find your niche. But keep that in the back of your mind, that eventually you want to find a niche. And you want to find a niche, I usually recommend the target should be to be the best in the world at whatever your niche is. So what does this mean? Well, it can mean different things. If you have a very common language combination, like say English, Spanish, well, then you need to be very specialized and very niched. But if you have a more rare language combination, like, I don't know, Tibetan to Italian, say, then then you'll be quite broad. You can pretty much cover a lot of different specializations. So just bear that in mind. When you start off, it will be a bit scattered all over the place, but over time you'll start pinpointing where your strengths are, where you get hired for, and that way you'll know exactly where to target and what should become your niche. So know what your specialization is. This is what I just said. I got ahead of myself there. And I said I was good at PowerPoint. It's been a while, I guess. So the next thing you should do is update your CV based on your language specializations. Now, did I get it more into detail here? No. Okay. Everything on your CV, every single line of your CV should be regarding either your languages or your specializations, or both. A lot of people worry about having a gap in your resume. You do not need to worry about that. As a freelancer, you don't need to worry about gaps in your resume. So anything that's fluff or anything that sort of takes up space or that has nothing to do with languages or translation or your specialization, you can leave it out. Make sure everything in your CV pertains to the job at hand. That's the important thing. I have a course actually that talks about your CVs for translators, and it goes into more detail about exactly how to structure it. And that all still stands, but I just wanted to mention that point because it's very important. And the next thing is to have an introduction letter. This serves as both your cover letter and your cold email, or whatever email you send to introduce yourself to the agency or to the end client and stuff like that. My recommendation is usually to have one introduction letter per specialization. And then you can tweak it for each individual job as well, but you want to have a template you can use. You don't want to be rewriting it from scratch. And obviously, as time goes on, you'll improve upon it and make it better, but write up something now. Have this ahead of time. You want your CV, you want that introduction letter, you want those good to go, because you don't want to have to worry and think about them when time comes to apply for jobs. So now that you've done everything you need to do before getting started, you can actually get started. I want you to sign up for LinkedIn. It's very easy. If you haven't yet, you just use all your information from the CV and plug it in there. I also want you to sign up anywhere else. So pros.com is where I want you to sign up as well. But don't get the paid version. Just sign up there. And then sign up, yeah, anywhere else because it's free. So why not? Upwork, Freelancer, whatever other websites there are. Feel free to sign up there. You never know where people will find you. And it's all the same information anyway. You already have it ready since you prepared your CV and cover letter ahead of time. So just sign up for all these places. But the main things I say to concentrate on are, first of all, LinkedIn, but also pros.com. You can just get the free version. Wow, I messed this up as well. So I'm getting very rusty here. I was gonna change it, but you know what? I'll leave it raw. I'll take the L. It's my fault for not going through ahead of time. So, like I said, sign up for pros, don't pay. Sign up anywhere else, and include social media if you're active. So, what I mean by this is you can sign up on whatever you want. And I mean, obviously, I already said LinkedIn, but if you want Facebook, Twitter, stuff like that, but only if you are active. If there's nothing kind of sadder than having freelance translator have their profile up on Twitter, but it hasn't been active since 2017, And if you are active, then absolutely sign up for any social media that you feel you will be active in, because once again, you never know where people will find you. One other thing I want to include is when you put your profile, this goes especially for LinkedIn, list out your language combination and write it out, spell it out. So if you're an Italian to English translator, write Italian to English translator. Don't put the IT-EN, and don't put stuff like, the most wonderful translator who translates your words into ideas and thoughts or something like that. Because you want to be able to be findable, searchable. If someone searches on LinkedIn for an Italian to English translator, they need to find you. So make sure you spell it out in your profile. And I recommend doing this on all your profiles. Next thing is to set up job alerts. For anywhere available, pros.com, has job alerts for your language combination. So definitely there, and other places that have them, sign up for them. If they don't have them, set up calendar alerts. Like say you use, I don't think Upwork has any job alerts. So set up something on your Google Calendar or whatever for every day, every 2 days to check out Upwork or whatever other website and see if there are any jobs. Just make sure you have job alerts, regular ones, whether it's every day, every couple days, or what have you, for all the relevant websites where you can find jobs, because you want to be up to date to be able to apply to them. Referrals. So now you're going to understand why I insisted on pros.com. Your first priority when you're first starting out is to get these referrals. These are worth more to you than any initial job. So if you already have past jobs that you've done before, let's see if I spell this out. Yeah. So I recommend pros.com. If you have any past jobs that you've done before, pros.com makes it very easy to ask for ratings and referrals, for the WWA they call it. Even if you didn't use pros.com to get hired, they make it very simple. All they have to do literally is kind of press a button and say yes, and then they can add comments if they want to, but it's very simple. So my recommendation is, and you can use LinkedIn or other places as well, but pros.com is still very good at displaying referrals, and you can do that all with a free account. So my recommendation is to contact your prior clients and ask them to leave you a rating or referral on pros.com for whatever job you did for them in the past. And that way you will already have ratings and referrals that you can use and that you can refer to, that you can show people, that you have a track record. If you don't have any translations or ratings, referrals that you can use because you're just starting out, then my suggestion is to do volunteer translations or find anything in Creative Commons and translate that, because you can add that to your portfolio, and that way you can at least create your portfolio. If you volunteer for stuff like, say, Translators Without Borders or Wikipedia or TED Talks is off and on. You need to check if they're hiring at the moment. But any of these places, a lot of NGOs and stuff, you can volunteer to translate for free. Usually they won't say no to that. And at least then you can specify. You can say, look, all I want in terms of payment is a rating or referral. Look, in my course for the freelance translation, I go into this in more detail and I explain how you can actually contact real clients and offer to do small jobs in order to get these referrals, work for them for free in order to get the referral. And there's a method of doing that as well. But that's just because at the beginning, these referrals and these ratings, they give you a track record and they're very important for future jobs. And then we get into the part of marketing yourself. When you first start off, you're going to be marketing yourself more than translating. In fact, it's pretty much all you're going to do until you find clients. So My recommendation is to do everything. Online, interact on social media, mainly LinkedIn. This means with other translators, this means with potential clients, with everyone. Just interact, comment, post stuff, like and repost and all that good stuff. Be searchable, like I mentioned before, have your language combination on all your profiles, spell it out as well. Feel free to do videos, blogs, tweets, whatever you feel comfortable. Again, whatever you can do regularly. You don't want a dead account out there because then people aren't sure if you're still operating, if you're still a translator. I recommend not bothering making a website because I won't go into detail here. I do it in the course more. Suffice it to say, your SEO will never be as good as pros or LinkedIn. So don't spend time or money at the beginning making a website. That's my recommendation. In terms of offline, there too, you should do stuff like find meetups, internations, chambers. What I mean by chambers, chambers of commerce. If you are, say, a Brazilian to English translator in the States, find every Brazilian chamber of commerce in your city. Find the Portuguese ones, and stuff like that. Anything that is sort of international where you can find potential clients, find them, join them, get to meet other people. Find chambers also in other countries. So again, with the example, say you live in Brazil and you're a Brazilian to English translator. I can't remember what I said before, but yeah, you live in Brazil. You are a Brazilian Portuguese to English translator, and say that you find chambers of commerce in the city you live in, but also find them in other cities, in say New York, in LA, in Atlanta, in London, in whatever it might be. Why? Because they have online events. Because many times they ask people to participate online. They might have a Facebook page or a LinkedIn page where you can interact with people, and at least you can get your name known. I'm not saying to join them and pay the fee because a lot of times they have very high fees, but at least find them, keep up with what they're doing, and see if there's any way you can interact with them as well. Because a lot of times you'll be worth more to someone if they're in the States and you have boots on the ground in Brazil and they need a translator or something in Brazil. It can be very helpful to them. Once you start finding clients, my recommendation is that's awesome. Don't question why it's working. Just concentrate on replicating it as much as possible. Wherever you found the client, whether it was on LinkedIn, boom, put a lot of energy on LinkedIn. If it was on pros, put a lot of energy there. Just keep doing that. Over time, you'll get an idea as to why it's working. But I find a lot of people kind of trying to figure out the why, but don't question it. Just keep doing whatever you're doing that works. And that's pretty much it. Just short and sweet. I hope you found that useful. I just wanted to give a kind of quick overview of what you should do when you're first starting out. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions. Like I said, I go a lot more into detail in this in my course and in stuff like that, which you can find linked in the description below. But hopefully this is a good primer for all of you. And so get started and let me know how it goes. And if you did find this useful, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that good stuff, and share it wherever you feel you should share it. And otherwise, savedum.